from the excellent camera work that we did this evening with respect to the arrival of US President Barack Obama. Lots of interesting shots that we got there, including that exclusive one as Air Force One flew into JKIA. That we'll be talking about for days in the camera room. But congratulations to our cameramen. We've got our panelists here: Ken Kambona, an international development consultant; Mustafa Ali, conflict transformation expert, as well as Atieno Ndomo, a governance analyst. We've been speaking about what's been happening, and or rather what the agenda should be for Kenya with respect to our bilateral relationship and the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. But this can't escape attention, especially because a few minutes past 8 o'clock we all saw it. President Barack Obama coming down those steps of Air Force One, greeting Uhuru Kenyatta, but absent was the deputy president. Why, Atieno?
I think it probably was the wise decision. I think that probably it was wiser that the deputy president either chose not to be there, or a decision was made for him not to be there, because I think there would have been a moment of awkwardness, which really wasn't necessary. It probably would have clouded this whole moment. So I think a very wise decision in the circumstances.
Yeah, let's not dwell on that too much. Actually, let's speak now about the agenda with respect to the United States. Ken, what has the United States agenda since Obama took power been for Kenya and for Africa?
The most important thing that Obama has had in mind is that of trade and investment. Out of the normal development agendas that have been happening, Obama has had this feeling that Africa is ripe for business. Kenya, for instance, is the country that within this region is ready for taking up serious business, serious American investment. And so when you see Obama land, this evening, you'll see all the corporate America people that he will be having in his entourage. We've already seen a lot of them coming before and discussing things. So the most important thing that he should get out of this place with is, how is Kenya well positioned to absorb that US investment, which at the moment we are really not as prepared. And in fact, a lot of people have been commenting about this with respect to how we'll absorb this kind of investment. You talk about a company like General Electric, you talk about Walmart, the big names in the United States coming and making investments in Africa, and the companies that perhaps would perform the same kind of services for the public here in Kenya and here in Africa cannot compare in terms of capital, in terms of expertise. What is that thing that's going to be able to transform or spark growth of the next General Electric here, the next Walmart, that's African-owned, African-driven? Yeah, and that's the agenda that he's setting. So apart from the investment bit of it, there is the technology transfer that has been factored into the trade and investment initiative that Obama has for Africa. You've heard of Trade Africa and Power Africa. So to have trade, you need a value chain approach. You need to have goods or commodities processed locally, and then you take them in a packaged manner to the US market. Now, to do that, you need power, you need energy, and that energy is the component that we call Power Africa. So Power, 60 million homesteads in Africa, add a 30,000 megawatt capacity for the African continent. Kenya will take 5% of 5,000 megawatts of that. And with that, you can now be ready for the American market, because you must process things 24/7. You must have contracts that are valued by both sides, and that is the bit that when it comes out of this country, we must, as a country, make sure we have signed as a government, then incorporate the private sector.
And taking on debt, for instance, Africa has been the continent that has suffered in terms of repayment of debt to the West, in terms of servicing loans and debt at the expense perhaps of its own development. What kind of debt should we be looking to acquire? What kind of investment should we be looking to acquire in order to retain our own interest, not harm our own interest in the long term?
Fortunately, the American government has agencies which really support investments of American companies in developing countries or emerging markets for that matter. Organizations like Overseas Private Investment Company have actually worked here. I think companies like Wananchi Group, CBA Bank have benefited from that, so that you don't quite need to take, you know, loans the way we know it, but you are supported technologically. So for instance, I think the Commercial Bank of Africa has been able to run M-Pesa very effectively, and M-Shwari. All this mobile banking has been as a result of U.S. investment, and you can see it working. So such things are what we now need, that America puts part of its money onto corporate America, so that corporate America comes here and then doesn't leave the corporate Kenya just to struggle with loans, but supports corporate Kenya in technology transfer, and then, you know, with time corporate Kenya will come up. And it's not just the big companies. We talked about the small person, the mama mboga. How do we support that? And the big thing is, you must make them export ready. And to make somebody export ready is that, how does the American market operate? If you're taking something like a shirt, what is the American style? Or even a sweatshirt, you know, whatever it is. Shoes, what is the American style? So once you train the people here on how best the American market operates, then you will have this, you know, duty-free, tariff-free market, which is over, you know, 6,400 goods that we can take there without taxation. So I think those are very important. And if you see some of the areas that are going to be discussed bilaterally, taxation is one of them. Of course, visa, because for Kenyans to trade with America,
they have to travel there.
They have to travel there. Yes. Then the issue of direct flights. You must travel there to know your customer, to know your client. Yeah. And these are things that I think by the time we come out of here, let Kenya just say it as the Americans say it. What is in our best interest? Yeah. Americans will not seize they're not shy to say that. They'll say what is in our best interest. And what I think is in our best interest is to sign and firmly follow up what we have just talked about.
All right, Mustafa, what is in our best interest when we come to the fight against terrorism, which is going to be a huge agenda for U.S. President Barack Obama and Uhuru Kenyatta? What specifically is the nuance? What at the granular level, what should we be looking for in terms of the agreements that we make bilaterally between the United States and Kenya?
Yeah, John, it's very difficult to actually disconnect Kenyan interest and the U.S. interest in terms of the fight against violent extremism and terrorism. But what we can say that Kenya is a frontline state. The United States of America is not. And therefore, Kenya has got to take a lead and agree with the United States of America to fight terrorism on Kenyan terms. So this means that Kenyans should not be dragged into aspects or strategy that goes beyond the region. Yes, terrorism is global, and we are dealing now with issues to do with the ISIS, with Al-Qaeda, of course, Boko Haram, and all that expanding across the country. And therefore, there are a lot of interconnection, but there are issues here, there are nuances that we need to address. But talking about Obama here, he is a president. When he came to power, he took over power from Bush, when the economy in America was basically in tatters. And he said it, I think, a few months ago, that he has ended 2 wars, and America's economy is on the rebound. In fact, that is rebounding. Now, for Kenya, we need to find ways that we are going to address terrorism, violent extremism, and at the same time ensure that our the various economic sectors that have come under extreme stress because of terrorism are taken care of.
Perhaps that's the cut and paste strategy that we've had with respect to terrorism, cutting and pasting what was for a long time an American strategy in how to fight terror, using a hammer in almost all respects. And that seems to be the approach that we're taking now, especially if you see the trends in terms of the growth of radicalization in different places. What is it that we can learn from the United States experience under Barack Obama in terms of reducing, first of all, the military and security footprint with respect to this fight against terrorism?
Yeah, and just going back to, I recall Dick Cheney one time saying that they never and will never talk or negotiate with evil. At that time, implying the Taliban.
Yeah.
But what Barack Obama has done in Afghanistan, actually, in the context of ending the war there, they've actually been talking to the Taliban in Doha, in Qatar. So in many ways trying to find all avenues, various approaches, not just exclusively military, to address the issue of violent extremism. Now we need to do the same, and I think this government has started doing that. The amnesty that was declared by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, inviting these young people, including those who are duped into joining Al-Shabaab and other militant groups, that seems to be working, but it needs to be done in a more systematic manner.
And support for that would come in what way and what form from the United States?
I think one is training. That has to be done. The war on terror has got to be intelligence-led, and therefore training on intelligence gathering and analysis and acting on that intelligence. The military on their own cannot just deal with this war.
Yeah.
They have to depend on the intelligence, and that's really where the support, I hope the Kenyan government is really going to be focusing on that, on the intelligence support, training, and making sure that our intelligence institutions are robust and are supported to make sure that they're able to do this work and lead this fight against terrorism and violent extremism.
Atieno, we've been talking about wish lists. Everybody has a wish list with respect to what they want from the United States, from the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. Now, because Barack Obama is the focus, at least for this evening, what would you want to see once he leaves, either being implemented or either having been signed between Kenya, and in terms of the bilateral relationship, yes, but more so in terms of perhaps the more fundamental changes that happen here?
Good question, because I think that I want us to be very critical about this. So there's a sentimental, exciting part where Barack Obama is one of us, and we all really are proud, we're very inspired by him.
Yeah.
But then he's here as the president of the U.S. And I think a lot of people recognize now there's like almost another scramble for Africa. So if you think about the Africa Rising narrative, which is really the reality that most of our economies are on an upward trajectory. A lot of potential. If you think about the demographic dividend, a lot of people talk about this. We're the only continent where our population is still growing. It means there's a lot of promise and there's a lot of potential. But alongside that is also still really long-standing issues of governance, which are basic. We're sitting here, Burundi, I think, today has coronated a guy who's supposed to be a young man who has decided it doesn't matter whether his country goes down the drain, whether he kills people, he's hanging on to power. And who are the people who are cheering him on? Our own East African community, which is currently chaired by Kenya.
If not cheering him on, but being silent in terms of
I would go as far as saying cheering him on, because who's the guy who's presiding over the so-called mediation? Third term, these are wars that Kenyans and Africans have won, where we're saying we have term limits. You cannot rule for life. But we have all around us now people who want to rule for life because they think they're indispensable. If they die, their countries will, this kind of delusion. So my point is, there's a scramble for Africa because there's a lot of promise. But Africa will not benefit if we don't deal with these basic governance questions. So it's all well and good to think about all these companies have descended upon us. But if we don't have the basics right, think about the contracts that will emerge. Are they going to safeguard the Kenyan interest, or is it going to be about the American interest? So in that respect, Barack Obama is sitting here looking out for America. Who is going to look out for Kenya? This, for me, is the challenge. And that's where we have to go back and say, as Kenyans, as much as this represents a moment of so much promise, it takes us back to the basics. What happened to our constitution? How do we elect? Who governs us? Who's looking out for Kenya? Because unless we get that right, we will remain where we are.
And the fundamentals need to be discussed, at least at the level of being able to bring that change and take advantage of this moment to be able to ensure that that change continues for the next 50 years, especially if this is indeed the scramble for Africa, the new scramble.
And we cannot, therefore, you can't roll back. You can't go back to the scenario where you're told term limits are up for debate. I am scared. I am seeing we all lauded Kagame, but Kagame has now turned around and said Rwanda can go nowhere without him. Burundi is doing the same. Our next door neighbor Museveni has no intentions of going anywhere. So other than Tanzania, where they seem to have a respect for, that you hand over power.
For transition.
If we don't watch out, even as for Kenyans, let's not think that the things you put in our constitution can be rolled back. So we have to, the vigilance has to continue. We have to continue fighting, and this is our fight to fight. Let's use this moment of promise to say, what are we going to do as Kenyans to make sure that the battles that we have won, that we never go back?
that our interests continue to be represented by the people who are at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit and who are also leading those bilateral discussions between the United States and Kenya. Of course, a very important weekend for Kenya with U.S. President Barack Obama having touched down, probably now meeting with some people or going back to his hotel prior to the Global Entrepreneurship Summit that he will be hosting tomorrow alongside Uhuru Kenyatta. Keep it KTN. We are going to be discussing the nitty-gritty, the details of what exactly we need to be getting out of this. What is Kenya's interest? What is Africa's interest?
He is it a CEO? He's a big boss.
Yeah, CEO and photographer.
And photographer of Magic Lens Kenya. They have done amazing worked with National Geographic, Safaricom, Coca-Cola, EABL, all the big companies. Was it easy? Was it hard when you started?
Yeah, like every great initiative, it is hard starting out. But what helped us was we were a product of love and passion.
I like that.
We took what we love to do, myself and my development director. Picked what we wanted to do and what we're passionate about, and you know, made money from that.
And you made money from that.
Yeah.
I like that. And we'll start seeing some of the pictures and some of the photos that Migo and his team have been taking in different projects. Very beautiful pictures. We'll be running them on the screen, and of course the ones that he was taking as I was doing the news. We'll see how good he is. Maybe we can grade him. All right. So I want to understand, what does the Global Entrepreneurship Summit mean for young entrepreneurs? I think for the first time we're looking at entrepreneurs like you and so many other, changing the world, taking the world by storm, and we're getting to realize exactly who these people are who are doing these great things. What is it for you?
For me, I think it's a great time for young people, young entrepreneurs to come out and show their light, because there are very many successful entrepreneurs coming out from the arts, like myself. We have great creators right here.
Yeah, we'll be meeting them shortly.
So I think it's a great time for Africa as a whole, and it's great for us as young people to come together. No man is an island. We have to come together, work together, and that's actually the premise of my company, and I think that's what has gained our success. We came together as a team, and we grew.
As friends, I suppose?
As friends, yes. Friends first.
Friends first.
Yeah, friends first. Identify a passion and what you love to do, and then you just watch the investments come back in.
And work on it.
And work on it.
Now, there are many young people who watch this show, and they're watching right now and they're feeling, maybe he had some, some huge amount of capital to start off. He's working with the big dogs in the industry. Was it easy for you in terms of capital? Because that's one of the issues, that affect very many young people when they want to start out something.
No, it was, like I said, it was difficult, but I had a good, really strong support system. And a friend of mine, friend of the company, came and gave us some capital to start, because he had identified passion and he had seen where this could go.
Yes.
So we started out with nothing. We borrowed.
Nothing.
My first job was an event, and I got paid 5,000 shillings, which went into paying for the cab and maybe a meal here. So we started out with nothing. But because someone identified some light and passion and some hope within me and my company, he decided to put some money there.
So, for someone who's watching and they're like, these guys work with the big companies, are you affordable? Because that's one of the issues, even in the panels that we've been having. Young people, sometimes they overprice things. It's no longer affordable for, the people, the mass market, who probably have the most money.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of targeting. Identify which target audience you want your product to go out to, and then price it accordingly.
Price it accordingly
and offer it accordingly, because not everyone will be able to afford certain services. That doesn't mean you can't provide for or cater for those markets. Segmentation. Go back to your marketing 101 class.
All right, fine. So we'll be getting back to Migs, and of course the pictures that you took earlier we'll see, and we'll try to get them in a short while.
I'm sure you will.
Yes, definitely. I want to move on to the lovely Evelyn. I think it's great to have you in the studio.
Pleasure.
So let's talk about your line. First of all, how did it come to the point where you are addressing the excellency, the first lady? Do you have crazy contacts
within your, your phone or something?
I think the first contact that I have is God.
Oh, okay.
I'm a strong believer. I'm born again. And for me, I always say I can't separate God and my business. Meeting these excellencies has been a journey. I didn't just wake up one day and I met them. It has taken me time, it has taken me hard work, and some of them is just taking the courage and just walking in and say, hello, I'm so-and-so, and I think I want to do this for you. And in fact, they get shocked, like, oh my goodness,
yes.
Who are you? You know?
Who are you? Yeah.
I mean, why are you
so it's about guts.
It's about, if you believe in what you do, I mean, it's passion that drives you. If you really want something bad enough, the only answer you can ever get is either no or a yes.
And that's fine.
And that's fine.
And that's fine.
And that's fine.
So what lessons can young people who are looking at you and, they admire you, you worked with, very big personalities, what lessons can they get from your journey in terms of having the guts to approach Martha Karua and say, you know what, I want to make a dress for you?
First of all, my advice to the younger people is that hard work.
Yes, hard work.
And never be in a hurry. It's patience.
To make money
in a hurry to make money.
Okay.
And in a hurry to get there. Because most of the young people want to get there fast before they work. I think for me, I started even doing things for free. When I was starting as a fashion designer, I ended up doing for free so that I get to learn and people get to use to my designing. So I would encourage them to volunteer.
To volunteer?
I mean, start it depends on how serious you want it.
Yes.
Like I meet a lot of young designers who want to upcoming designers, and apparently not many want to volunteer or even work, because for me I have to really know, are you passionate about it?
Are you passionate about it?
Are you
passionate
talking
about passion, some of the pictures that are on screen, Margaret Kenyatta, the First Lady, was donning your very beautiful dress there. Tell us, how was the experience like? Was it like, wow? Were you starstruck?
Oh. I remember that day I was seated at a corner and I'm thinking, oh my God, which way? Because I did 3 outfits. So
for her,
for the event, and so I didn't know which one should, because again it depends on one's mood. But that's what I told God. God, that blue one.
That blue one is the one.
That's the one. So as the president was coming in and the function was just about to start, I remember.
So the president was
it was actually the president was the one opening the main event. And when I saw the motorcade coming and the president coming and the first lady, I was like, oh my God. It is exactly what I said I want. And for me, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And just to have the first lady do a fast catwalk on a runway.
That must have been amazing for you.
It was so amazing.
Okay.
It was so amazing.
So you're one of the participants at the GES.
Yes.
You'll be showcasing. What will you be showcasing?
For the last 10 years, I've been doing fashion, and we have clients coming in and we measure them and we do. And I thank God.
Can I come in?
Yes, you can come in. You can come in. I have amazing clients who are very supportive, who've been working with me, pushing me, telling me, improve on this, let's work on this. And at some point, because of the demand, I've been wanting to do a brand, an international brand, that is. And I'm like, I'm a Kenyan.
Yes.
And no wonder I'm just telling you, I don't want to use this Evelyn thing. Akinyo Dongo. Akinyo Dongo Kenya, the brand.
Yes.
And for me, it's 2 years. It's 2 years ago. I felt that I need to go international after traveling to South Africa and other nations just to find out how does it work. Because how do shops source from Africa? Because right now big brands and shops are looking into sourcing from Africa. So I took that step and said, I want to go for this. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey.
And that's the message I think also you need to pass to young people.
It's not just like that. I mean, it has taken me 10 good years.
Wow.
To reach where I want to say, now you know what, I want to go in and venture. And even getting into the brand, it's big, it's huge. And I'm thinking, God, will I ever make this? And, so I'm moving and moving on, and I've really done a lot of collaboration. I've got an advisory board.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
For the brand,
serious?
because it's something I don't want to have a mistake with. So there are people who are guiding me and advising me in terms of marketing, how are we going to pitch. Right now I'm doing a lot of test marketing. I already have interest, a shop in Europe that is going to stock the Akinyo Dongo brand. I'm looking into going to Rwanda in the next 4 days.
Wow.
Then maybe in Milan after one month.
So quite impressive. No wonder you were one of the participants.
No, one of the participants being, for me, it's a pure miracle.
Okay.
Because I've been working with the government institution, Export Promotion Council.
Okay.
Because I took the initiative, because how bad do you want something? So I took it upon myself to go to this government institution and ask them, what do you do? I want to go into export. What exactly do you do? And they've been training me on a journey, and slowly we are getting there, and voila.
All right.
I got to be the only designer going to showkase at the GS and Gigiri.
Yeah, congratulations and all the best. And of course, Akinyi Odongo Design, we pray that it goes further and further.
It will go further.
All right.
Definitely.
So we'll get back to Akinyi in a short while, but I want to move here. And I mean, these are beautiful shoes. Can I have like 2 pairs, please?
Well, all these, they are ordered for.
Really?
So like,
you couldn't even come with one just for, like, hey.
You can just choose the best you want to and have it on.
Okay,
but
fine.
I normally design on order, that's why.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So if I want a kind of shoe, I bring the design to you, and then you make exactly what I want?
Yeah, you can bring the design, or you can select what you have at our workshop.
All right.
Yes.
So, Fred, tell us, how did you start Young Freddy?
Well, it has been a long journey, because I have been doing this for the last 3 years now. And
is that long?
Well, not long.
Before that,
because this is what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And simply because, like, I didn't know how to start, first of all, and I come from that humble background whereby, like, you don't know, like, after high school, now you are umeachiliwa, so just go find your life out there. Yes, and I came to Nairobi back in 2011 in search of greener pasture, and that's where, like, nikaanza kuosha sufuria kwa one of the hotels.
What?
Yes.
Kuosha sufuria?
Yes.
How now?
Nimesha sufuria sana ita.
So you used to wash the sufurias in hotels?
In hotels. Wow. Like a whole day. I did that for like 6 months, and then I had to quit. I went to selling newspaper at Huru Highway.
What?
Yes. After mid 2012, that's when I was hooked up with these guys who are doing really good in the market, and I started with clutch bags.
No. Before even we get to the good part, you used to sell newspapers.
Yes.
And before then, you used to wash sufurias.
Yes.
Wow. So at what point did you think, you know what, I don't want this anymore. I want to look for something greener?
Well, I wanted to do fashion design.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. Okay. So like, even out of my little saving I was doing,
when you wash the sufuria.
When I wash the sufuria now, the only saving I could do is like 500 a month or
a month.
Yes, because I need to pay rent. I need
that's
to.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so I just approached one of the designers in like Blackman Jeans, and they decided to take me in. Like I was just doing like designing stuff out of cuts of the fabric, and no, that's where like we started on the journey, and they didn't teach me how to do shoes actually.
What?
So out of the little saving I had to do, I used to pop into like one of the Sabers cafes in town and download all the links, all the YouTube videos, and training how to do shoes. And that's how the journey started.
That's how you started.
Yes.
And at what point did you get to now you are actually exporting shoes? From the guy who used to wash sufurias in Tao to the guy who's actually exporting shoes to different countries around the world.
Well, it happened that I used to know some Gishoro from NILAB, Nairobi Incubation Lab,
yes,
and
brilliant guy.
Yeah, back from high school, I used to hear him on Hope FM, and now when I had this idea, and now I knew what exactly I want to do in my life, so I started texting him, hey, can you be my mentor? It's not a good way to ask. So like it was like, he's just another joker. So for 1 year, like I did that for 1 year until all of the time, like he wanted, like he had created that interaction on his Facebook page just for people like to market their stuff on his post, and I just posted one pair of shoes.
What?
So after posting, and I'm like, okay, so nobody like he is interested in my shoes. I had to inbox him. So like after 2 to 3 days.
So you were persistent.
Yes.
And is that something you'd advise young people to like a virtue to have?
Yeah, definitely, especially now that if you want to venture into entrepreneurship, that's one of the virtues that you must have, because nothing just pop.
Persistence and patience.
Yeah, true.
All right. Wow. So a big congratulations, because this is not a small feat. Maybe I want to just highlight, I think I like these shoes a lot. Maybe you can just take I keep lifting these shoes up.
Actually, one thing that you don't know about this shoe, it's like your shoe that's worn out, like you can you can't wear it again. You just bring to us and refurbish.
Really?
Yes.
I have so many shoes. I think I'll be your number one customer.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So this could have been a shoe that was worn out.
Yes.
But now I bring it to you and you actually redo it.
Yes, true.
And why did you choose this kind of fabric? It's called Ankara, is that?
Kente.
Kente.
Well, this client, this is what she wants. Wow. So just have to come, or we just communicate through our social media platforms, and then we send you photos through WhatsApp, and then you select from the photos. And
wow. And are you affordable? That's the
we
other
are very
thing.
affordable.
Sure?
We are very affordable.
Okay, fine. So I want us to do this. I want us to take some business and stories, but when we come back to them, we'll get to know how, if you're at home and you'd like to contact them for shoes, for photography, by Magic Lens, or a fashionista kind of design by Akinyi Odongo. You need to stay tuned to KTN Friday Briefing. We'll have the contact in just a short while. But for now, I want us to look at the pictures that Migwa took earlier on. Let's see how good he is. He's good, but in terms of, taking random shots, as we like to call them.
Good evening, and thank you for keeping it KTN. Time for us to look at business. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Keroche Breweries has been thrown yet another curveball after the Kenya Revenue Authority failed to renew its excise tax license. The move throws a spanner into the Naivasha-based brewer's operations, with making it near impossible for Keroche to sell its products in the market. In a public notice in today's dailies, the taxman failed to renew Keroche's beer and ethyl alcohol license, pointing out that it was an offense to be in possession, purchase or consume excisable goods manufactured, imported or sold by unlicensed persons. But Keroche is reading malice in this latest move, arguing that it was anti-investment. KRA claims Keroche has been stating incorrect excise duty rates while filing its returns and owes the taxman huge sums of money. Keroche, however, refutes the claims, adding that it only had July dues outstanding to the taxman. Keroche on Wednesday moved to court seeking to compel the taxman to reverse its decision, as it holds that KRA was yet to issue it with tax compliance certificates at the time it applied for the renewal of the license. And over 200 entrepreneurs drawn from Kenya, Africa and the rest of the world attended a panel discussion hosted by Deputy President William Ruto at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. The discussion was geared towards enticing entrepreneurs on the investment opportunities available to them, just hours after the Deputy President opened the Global Entrepreneurship Summit at the United Nations headquarters in Gigiri. The government took the chance to highlight the steps taken towards improving both the ease and cost of doing business, such as reducing the cost of power by 30%, ensuring businesses are registered at a shorter time, and setting aside funds to support budding entrepreneurs. On the other hand, the entrepreneurs and investors urged the government to ensure policy formulation is geared towards attracting investment and jobs creation. Let's now take a look at
present Kenya as the country that is not only focused on making sure that you have least cost investment for you to do business, and it doesn't matter what the CNN says. Forbes says that Kenya is among the 7 best destinations for investment in Africa.
Our proximity as a country where we are positioned is great in terms of telecommunications. We have great fiber infrastructure. We have excellent proximity in terms of infrastructure, in terms of connectivity and travel. And then finally, we also need to look at how do we then create a capital structure or available capital to allow, right, these entrepreneurs to access capital, because we have got a lot of startup capital. We don't have enough startup capital.
The fact that Global Entrepreneurship Summit is being held in our country, in Kenya, is a huge thing. This is not an African conference. This is a global conference. So the fact that it's actually being held in our country demonstrates so much that what we've done so far has been amazing, and our journey going forward, we are just getting started.
There have been challenges, but no one has said, no, you can't do it. And we're growing the business day to day and learning by doing. So I encourage government and obviously some of the banks who are represented here, banks, to think differently as well.
And those are some of the events that transpired at the opening of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit at Gigiri by the Deputy President William Ruto. Now let's shift our attention to the relations between Kenya and the United States. As is, relations seem to be good but could be better. Let's look at the numbers here. Kenya's exports to the United States as of 2014, 565.8 million US dollars was earned by Kenya by exports or through exports to the United States, and the exports declined to 311.1 million as of the end of 2014, but that has improved as we got into this year. And if we look back at 2008, exports to the US stood at $343.5 million in 2008. In 2006, it was not as good. Our export revenue stood at $353.7 million. That was back in 2006, which could have actually reduced compared to 2008, but went up again in 2014. And if you look at the exports since 2010, Kenya's exports to the United States declined 65% in 6 years. So in 2009 we weren't seeing the revenues that we were seeing in 2014. And if we can move on now to the biggest exports that Kenya exports to the United States. Top on the list is horticulture, then we have tea, and then we have coffee, apparel, and pyrethrum. Pyrethrum doesn't seem like a huge market locally, but internationally it's really a big market. And the imports, or what Kenya gets from the United States into Kenya, on top of the list is actually what we see as chemical products. But how much does Kenya spend on imports from the United States? 430.7 million. It moved up to 635.7 million in 2013. And if you look at the numbers for end of last year, it was about $1,600.1 million in 2014 right there. But the biggest imports again, we're looking at aircraft, we're looking at spare parts, chemical products, fertilizers, and much more. That do come broken down into the chemical products, especially for medical facilities and equipment as well. You can also come into that among the imports that come from the United States. If we move on, we'd be able to look at other figures in regard to the biggest trade partners that Kenya has at the moment. Uganda, Tanzania, the European Union, and the United States of America comes in fourth position. And the international trade partners that we're looking at, we have India, the European Union, which makes up a whole bunch of countries. In Asia, we have China, and in the Middle East, we have the United Arab Emirates, and the United States comes in fifth position. Now, the export opportunities that are available for Kenya and the United States, or for Kenya into the United States, we're seeing flowers or horticulture. We still have pyrethrum, honey, handicrafts, leather, as well as leather products. Those are some of the areas that Kenyan entrepreneurs can venture into and be able to get revenue, and of course not leaving out technology among the opportunities that are available right now. So what are you doing with your businesses? The United States is open to investment, knowing that AGOA has been available in the country since the year 2000, and Barack Obama's administration is seeking a 15-year extension of the partnership on AGOA, which mainly deals with textiles, exporting about 6,400 products into the United States every year. So there you go. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. That's all we had for you on tonight's KTN Business. For more news, log on to our website, ktnnews.com.
Right, thank you very much for still staying with us here on KTN Friday Briefing. We now want to cross over live to Kisumu County, where Willis, the word master, also known as Willis Ocheng, is joining us tonight on this very eventful night. Willis, it's great to see you tonight, looking sharp and very bright. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Betty. In the first place, you look cool, and it adds some power to what is happening in Kenya tonight.
I like that, Willis. Now, I don't know if we have a word on the street ready for us, because it was quite an interesting one this week. Let's take a look at that.
Conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Consistously.
Constituency. Constituency. Consecutively.
Conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Conscientiously. Conscientiously. Conscientiously. Conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Consciously. Hey.
Willis, I think people just give themselves their own different words. Consecutively, I've had all sorts of things. Willis, that word, it's very tricky. I don't even want to try and pronounce it. Tell us, Willis, you're the word master.
But if I'm not wrong, I remember there is a time we also had some focus like so from the streets, and I just said this word is very tricky. We say conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Conscientiously.
Very tricky.
Conscientiously.
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 Yes.
All right. That's a mouthful, Willis. Conscientious.
No,
is
this word
correct?
is conscientiously.
Okay.
Conscientiously. Yes.
All right. Hey, Willis,
that is how you pronounce that word, Betty.
That's a difficult one, Willis. But moving on to another one here. Word on the street is always so hilarious. Moving on to another one. I'll spell it out. ECHELON. Do we say echelon when you mean like a level, a certain level or rank?
The digraph CH takes the sounding or the pronunciation sh, that sound sh for CH, just like in chef. So you say echelon, not echelon, not echelon, Betty.
Wow, okay, that's a surprise, Willis. Echelon, is that correct?
Echelon, echelon.
Echelon.
Just like you say charlatan, not charlatan, not charlatan. Charlatan, echelon, chef.
All right, chef, echelon, and charlatan. Got it, Willis. Moving on to another word. Now, this word, we've had it especially with Obama's visit. You know, people saying itinerary. Which is which, Willis? Tell us.
That word begins with the diphthong or the vowel glide, I, itinerary. Itinerary, not itinerary. It's I, not E.
Okay.
So we say itinerary.
Itinerary. Got it, Willis. Moving on to another word here. Psychiatrist, psychiatrist, how do we pronounce that word? Psychiatrist. Psychiatry, you know, there's so many variations of that one, Willis. How do we go about that one?
We say chiatrist. Chiatrist. What we call a triphthong in that case. Psychiatrist. Just like psychiatry. But when we deal with the adjective, Betty, we don't say psychiatric. We now say psychiatric. Psychiatric, but psychiatry and psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. Psychiatrist.
Yes.
It's like breaking the word in three different clusters. Psychiatrist, right?
Those are inflections.
Inflections.
Changing the form of a word for grammatical function. Just like we say strategy, but we don't say strategic. We now say strategic.
Strategic.
Yes.
All right, got it, Willis.
There you are.
Moving on to another one here. Do we say warden or warden? You know, to mean like, you know, like you know, like a ranger in the park? Is it a warden?
The letters A and R or R form what we call the vowel digraph in that word. So we don't say wa, we say war, a warden. Warden or warden. Warden or warden.
Warden.
Yes.
Warden.
Yes.
Is that correct? Warden.
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 There you are. This is where those who love swallowing words, it's allowed in this case.
It's allowed.
Warden, just like student, important, so you say warden. But saying warden is not bad.
Okay, but I prefer warden. There's some nice feel to it. Warden. Moving on to our feedback question.
Stylish a bit.
Yes. Well, let's moving on to our feedback question. We have Geoffrey Watiri, who happens to be my former teacher, asking about the subject that he actually used to teach me. Do we say mathematics, maths? How do we go about that, Willis?
You can say maths, not maths, not maths, maths. Then you can also say mathematics, mathematics, not madhe, not madhi. Mathematics, maths.
All right, mathematics. Got it, Willis. Willis, you know, you've surprised us with the echelon, you know, and charlatan.
Yes.
Do you have any surprise word in your bag this evening?
Betty, before I give you my surprise word, I want to remind people that we talk of entrepreneurship. And you can also say entrepreneurship, narship. Entrepreneurship. So my surprise word, Betty, is the word that many people often succumb. To succumb to cancer. No. So that mb is not there.
Okay.
You say succumb. B is silent. Just like dumb, not dumb.
Okay.
Succumb, not succumb. So we should avoid succumb and say succumb.
Succumb is the correct one. And also entrepreneurship. We'll be hearing a lot of that word this weekend, Willis.
Betty, always it's my pleasure. I really enjoy talking to you, and that your English teacher deserves a pat on the back because of the quality of English that you speak. And you can see I'm having some 2 words here now on the paper, and the upper one is the correct spelling of that word. We should not spell it the way we have the word which is below. That's the wrong spelling, and sometimes we mispronounce words due to wrong spellings. The upper one, we pronounce that word as yacht.
Just lift it up for us so that we can say properly.
Not yacht.
Yes,
I can raise it up a bit.
Yes,
so
there we go.
The upper one we say yacht, not yacht. So we should talk of letter Y for yacht. That is yacht, not yacht as we hear especially in schools. The lower one, wrong spelling. The upper one, yacht, and correct spelling. Otherwise, bye for tonight, Betty.
Willis, thank you so much for the lesson tonight. I think I've gotten something like the first word, conscientious. Thank you very much, Willis, for your time and, of course, being part of KTN Friday Briefing. Remember, you can catch him on Twitter at Willis Ochieng1.
Still in matters of soccer, in a host of Kenya Premier League matches that are scheduled for this weekend, Mathare United will be targeting for a top 5 finish after the end of this season, and they have been boosted by a recent form of good results. Robinson Okenye paid them a visit and brings us this story.
2008 Kenya Premier League champions Mathare United have not had an easy ride in the Kenya Premier League this season. United finished 9th last season after accumulating a total of 38 points from 30 matches. And after a shaky start to the current season, the Slum Boys lie 9th with 25 points from 5 victories and 10 draws. United, however, managed to turn the fortunes in their favor. After grabbing a draw against league leaders Gor Mahia a fortnight ago in a match they strongly felt they should have won, the Slum Boys are raring to go as they seek a top 5 finish this season.
Kumaliza top 5, but kumaliza top 5 ni make sure that tutapata positive results kwa game zetu, because ukiangalia gap in between hapo ni 4-5 points between CC and number 5, number 4.
And our target is to finish top 5. And with the kind of performance that we have, we've had so far, it's not bad. And the coach is pleased with the way we're playing. So I believe in our performance as a team.
With new acquisitions, Eric Yohana, Ismail Dunga and Edwin Lavasa already leaving strong marks in the squad, Mathare United feel they have the right combination now to achieve their goals.
Competition kwa timu inakuwa juu na player yote akipata chance ya kucheza na make sure that amecheza vizuri ndio try to maintain position yake.
We believe with the two strikers up front and Tololo too, and the outside players too like Yohana, who is in great form, we're going to perform well. With the forward line, we're going to perform very well.
In the Kenya Premier League match is scheduled for the weekend. City Stars will host Chemelil FC in Machakos as Bandari welcomes Sofapaka in Mombasa. Muaroni will host Ulinzi as Mathare battle it out with KCB at City Stadium.
For Mathare United, the season may not be as they could have wished. But for the Slum Boys, as they are popularly known, they are hoping their new acquisitions will help them better their performances before the end of the season. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
We want to thank you so much for the feedback and of course for watching us for hours on end as we covered the Obama arrival. Our KTN team, our camera crew, Martin Kireo, Biwot, and so many others who have been on the ground doing an amazing job to capture Air Force One. That was amazing. We actually captured it before it landed, all the way until it actually landed. A very good job, and a pat on the back to the KTN team. But coming back to our guest anchors, well, they didn't get a chance to anchor the news because we're so excited to have their interviews first. I want them to actually tell you how you can get them, and I've gotten so many people asking, how can we get the shoes, So tell us, how can we get? I think I should trade my heels for this because this looks so comfortable. Tell us.
Yeah, sure. Well, they can get us through our social media platforms.
Okay.
Whereby it's at Young Freddy, like Young Freddy, Freddy double D-I-E.
Young Freddy.
Young Freddy.
Yeah. Double
Twitter,
D-I-E.
Young Freddy. Instagram, Young Freddy Clothing. Facebook, Young Freddy. And we have an e-commerce platform where people can buy those like international out of Africa. They can buy through our website, and we get to ship them.
All right. So there you have it. Young Freddy. Freddy is has a double D and an IE at the end. Contact him and you can be, you can get some very nice pairs of shoes like this, supporting our young entrepreneurs like him. He started by cleaning sufurias and right now he's exporting shoes to Australia. An amazing story that is. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Moving on here to our lovely lady Akinyi Odongo. Now, how can we get to wear your clothes? I like this jacket so much.
Everybody's telling me
I think I'm just getting, goodies tonight.
Okay, for purposes of, because I was here for purposes of GES, that I'm going to show Akinyi Odongo, the brand.
Yes.
And they can follow us on Twitter, Akinyi Odongo _KE. On Facebook,
Akinyi Odongo
_KE.
Got it?
And Facebook is Akinyi Odongo Kenya.
Akinyi Odongo Kenya on Facebook, and
on Twitter
is Akinyi Odongo _KE.
Yeah.
There you go. If you want to have some of the very beautiful dresses or something like what the First Lady was wearing a few months back, well, you have the contacts now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
and
you.
all the
Thank
best
you.
on Saturday, tomorrow, in a few hours.
Yeah, in a few hours. Yeah.
All right. And last but certainly not least, our photographer. Those are really nice pictures.
I'm glad you like them.
I'm so excited to have young entrepreneurs taking the world by storm, parting shots to people who are watching and they want to be encouraged by you, doing this great thing.
Yeah, just follow your dream. Never give up. It gets harder before it gets better, but once it clicks, it really clicks. Yeah.
That's a very powerful message. Stick to it and be patient. And don't be in a hurry to make some mola.
And teamwork, Exactly.
All right. So thank you so much for watching KTN Friday Briefing. It has been an amazing pleasure having your company.
You can find me
sorry. This guy he should have been a journalist. Okay, tell us, how can we get you?
You can find us on www.magiclenskenya.com and magic with a Q, not a C.
And lens S at the end.
Yeah, just S, no E at the end.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, you can get us on Magic Lens Kenya. And on Instagram, it's magiclens_KE, and that's the same for Twitter.
All right.
And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @Migwa.
Migwa.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's www.magiclenskenya.com. That is how you can get him to take those beautiful shots of any campaign or even family. Do you do families?
Family portraits.
Family portraits, yeah. All right.
Personality portfolios like yourself.
Yeah. I'll drop by the studio sometime. Thank you so much for watching us on KTN Friday Briefing on KTN News. We're now living with the exclusive pictures that you could have only gotten them right here on KTN News channel, giving you the best pictures of Obama's arrival. Thank you very much for watching and have a lovely weekend.